Welcome, Dr. Liziwe Masoga, and thank you so much for joining us on the Future of EX this morning. We are very excited to have you here today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me, Sally. I'm looking forward to the discussion.
Yes. We'd like to just start off with, I think, understanding a little bit about you and a bit about your journey. If you can tell me, where are you from originally?
So I'm from Soweto, in a small area called Orlando West Extension. So born and bred in Soweto, raised by my paternal grandparents together with my dad. So as a result, I come from a large family in a way, because the aunts and the uncles were always there up to a point. So I'm a township girl through and through.
And what was your dream career when you grew up? What did you want to be?
You're going to laugh. So there's two responses to that, right? So when I was in high school, grade 10, 11, I was really good at accounting. I sucked at math, so I dropped math quite quickly. So at some point, I thought I wanted to be a chartered accountant, until the teacher was teaching us left and we didn't have an accounting teacher, so I had to move to home economics very quickly. So there went my dreams. But actually, when I was at university, I love music. So anybody who knows me will know I love music. I can dance well. I'm usually the last person standing when there's functions. And at some point, I thought I could have actually been a club DJ if I didn't become a psychologist. And luckily, my kids take after me. So you can imagine how much fun we have at home when they're all here.
A club DJ. Okay, and what's your favorite kind of music?
So I do old school R&B and also 80s, 90s, because that was the time I was in high school getting into university. And I love just different artists for different reasons. So your Mary J. Blige, big groups like Wham at the time when we were growing up, Aretha Franklin, Luther Vandross, and then it goes to the other spectrum of your Usher, the R. Kellys at the time, and then some party music in terms of Black Box. There were songs that were just like proper songs when we were at university that we always danced to. So each time I hear that music, it takes me back to all those years with just my friends at varsity, and we were living our best lives at the time.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's my generation of music as well, obviously. But I also like big band and jazz a lot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and so then you went on and you studied psychology, and I mean, who would you say was your big sort of inspiration, or was it a person, or was there an event that really inspired you to move along that path?
So I think it's a combination of people. I'll tell you about the people just now, and then an event. So in terms of people, I was really an average student all my career until I got to a really good high school in grade 11. And that for me was the event, right?
Okay.
And because until I got into that high school, I didn't have any ambition, or I didn't think about university. You know, when you live in the township, a lot of things happen in the township, and you become part of friendship groups, and, you know, the friendship group kind of influences your outlook. And that school really helped me in grade 11, because I was able for the first time to think differently about a career, a future. And I actually put in a lot more effort in my studies than I had before. And I stopped being average. And one of the teachers there, she passed away, Belede Mazwai. She used to be married to Tami Mazwai, was our English teacher. And I can tell you, she touched so many lives in the couple of years that she was at the school. She was the one who taught us about our Blackness, how we needed to embrace it. And I remember Sarafina 1 was coming out in that year, and she encouraged us to go to the theater to watch it, and then debriefed on it. Okay. We looked at Macbeth in a completely different way than we had been taught before. So out of all my teachers, she's the one who made me think I can do this academic thing. You know, it's exciting. Being Black, yes, was disadvantageous at that time, but there were so many opportunities that she was just helping us to see that you can't be just one of the statistics and be okay with it. The world is changing, and you need to think about how you want to influence it. So huge influence. And so that event in terms of the school and the teacher. But at home, I had two big influences. My grandmother, for one, and at the time, most people will remember, she was a qualified teacher and a nurse. I don't know how you do that in this era, but those times you could.
Okay, that's amazing.
Married to a school principal who was a Anglican church priest, my grandfather. And I looked at how my grandmother just carried herself. She spoke perfect English, like her English was better than her Xhosa, and took pride in just the way that she was educated, the things that she knew. And because she raised me, she kept on saying, I want more for your life. You know, there is, yes, we live in the township, but there's so much more that you can aspire to. And education is the route that you can get that. As a result, she was extremely strict. So this thing of you go to nightclubs, you go to parties, didn't work in my home. When it was 6 o'clock, there's a light that she would put on outside. And wherever I was, I knew it's time to come back home. So, and you know, when you grow up in the township and you come from a family like that, it's sometimes an anomaly. And my friends used to laugh to say, oh, the light is on, you must rush because otherwise you're going to get into trouble. And I suppose in their families, they were allowed to be a lot more explorative as teenagers than I was. But at the time, I really didn't appreciate it because I always was the only one who could not talk about that party, who didn't go to that club, you know. And at the time, I thought, yo, this prison must just end. But now I know why she did what she did. And then my dad is still alive. He is my absolute first love. My husband knows that. I will choose my dad over my husband anytime. He had me when he was, I think, 23, so must have been young, and decided to raise me with his family and not my mom's family. And he was a bus driver for 38 years.
Wow.
You can imagine how much bus drivers earned at the time. Yeah. And I remember him sitting me down saying, you know, when I die, there's not going to be a trust fund. You can see we live from hand to mouth. We didn't go without any food. So I don't want, you know, we were not poor that we went without food, but we were not wealthy either. But that's because my dad prioritized our well-being and our education. And that conversation with me went something like, when I die, no trust fund, no money, we live hand to mouth. You just need to understand that the only ticket out of this life is through education. Let me tell you what my commitment is going to be. This is him talking to me. I will make sure that you go into university, a university I can afford. And my commitment is I will pay for your tuition, I will pay for your books, and I'll give you money to go to university. It can't be a vet because obviously he couldn't afford it. So we settled for a university in Soweto, Vista University. I don't know the experience of being called into an office or results are withheld because you owe money, because my dad stuck to that commitment. Yeah. And he then also turned around to say, remember, this is my investment in your future. You decide what you want to do with it. If you use it, great for you. If you don't, I would have done my part. So, you know, so he's just dependable, responsible, and loving. So he's not going to hug, and he's not that kind of dad, but in just his way of showing his love was to make sure he sets us up for success. And I remember when I was getting divorced from my first husband, I went to him when I'd made the decision. In fact, the court date had been set. And I told him, I'm getting divorced. These are the reasons. And he said to me, are you sure that's the right decision for you and the kids? I said, yes. Financially, will you be able to maintain yourselves, even if he's not in the picture? I said, yes. He said, that's the reason I took you to school, so that you can make these decisions independently and be able to afford yourself. So that's why he's my first love.
Sure. What incredible role model, such a
I
like
know.
an elegance to that type of upbringing, you know. I think that's
Absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's there's so much that yeah, that was given in that space. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. Yeah. Which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think, and when you have children of your own, you realize, I think only then do you get the perspective of how much
Yeah.
your parents and your
Yeah.
grandparents
Yeah.
did for you at the
Yeah.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah, it gives you a whole new. My mom always tells me that the reason that well, that my children are her reward for not killing me.
I love that.